Very long week. Last week, couldn't get on here and do my thing. I was at a conference, Digital Marketers Australia. Thanks to Steve and the team for organising such a great conference, and it was really good to catch up with all my friends and acquaintances in the marketing space. So I met a lot of good people too. And yeah, it just reinforces that good marketers flock together because there was some absolutely cracking people there. If you didn't get a chance and if you haven't been before, it's always worth going to a Digital Marketers Australia conference just because they're really well organized and the talks were amazing. But enough about me. Hopefully everyone's having a great week and is keeping safe, of course, but also being productive and making a lot of money. Today I wanted to jump on and talk about business experience, experiments, and evolutions. I didn't know what to call this topic today, but it was just something I wanted to talk about because it's very pertinent to us at the moment. We're going through a bit of an evolution and a bit of a shift in how we go about things. And I thought it was a good time to talk about this while it was fresh in my mind. So, business experience. I want to split this up into three sort of elements, and from those elements, then we'll just go where the chips may land. And as always, guys, make sure you say g'day if you're tuning in and you're lurking. Make sure you say g'day. It keeps me motivated to keep doing these things. And if you have a question, of course, please feel free to ask any questions, and I'll just deviate and answer them as we go. So business experience. It's something that we've been talking about a lot lately in this business. A combination of the fact that we're sort of a little bit more experienced in the industry now, been around a little while relative to marketing, and talking to the team today about how, or the other day about how, or because you don't have business experience, it shouldn't limit you and it shouldn't stop you from starting one. As long as you're willing to learn as you go, experience, you can't replicate experience. If I feel like there's a lot of business owners that use a lack of business experience and a lack of experience in a space, or potential business owners use a lack of experience to stop them actually doing something and starting a business and starting an enterprise. No business person, no one starts with experience. Experience is earned. And, I'm sure Mark Zuckerberg would attest to this. He's a pretty rich individual and he didn't have any experience running a business. And he's still the CEO, whether rightly or wrong, and the chairman of Meta. Elon Musk, before he started his first business, had no experience. But you just learn this stuff as you go. So I think experience is definitely a competitive advantage. Like, you want experience, but it shouldn't be the limiting factor. When I first started marketing, I had no marketing experience. And then when I first started MyOnlineGuy, I had no real business experience except running a business for someone else. It doesn't necessarily, you can look at it as a disadvantage and an impediment, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. But what I really wanted to talk about today is experiments and evolution, and how sometimes business experience you can have a wealth of experience, and that can be a very big competitive advantage. But sometimes experience is a bit of a double-edged sword. And I want to talk about an experience I had with a very, very well-known business. And I don't know. I was toying up whether I tell everyone what the business name is. Maybe if a couple of people comment, I'll mention it. But yeah, it was you would know this business. And I've told this story to a few people actually, but you would know this business. And evolution is what I want to talk about with this experience. So for those who don't know, I won a competition. This was like a couple of years ago now, but I won a competition and I got to have dinner with a very, very, very well-known entrepreneur. Very well-known. Older gentleman, runs one of the largest companies in Australia. I can't really disclose who it is because he might watch this. I know their team watches this. But had dinner with him and I was super chuffed, super excited because any opportunity to pick the brains of someone that's been there and done that business experience. No comment, no comment, Joel. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Very experienced individual, wealth of knowledge. Yeah, good to see you, Joel. Very experienced individual. Anyway, won a dinner. It was a beautiful competition, well organized. We may have So the competition was really quite interesting. It was well done too. Basically, we had to. The competition was getting the most engagement on a post, and then we won by a long shot because me and a mate of mine have a page with 500,000 followers, or he does, and we just use that audience, very Aussie. Anyway, went to this dinner. Let's move forward, fast forward. Went to this dinner, sitting down, having a chat. Obviously, got asked what I did. Mentioned to do marketing. And he very black and whitely and very straight and matter of factly goes, we don't need to do SEO and things like that. We get 800,000 leads a year, and we can't even service the ones we get. And I was taken a little bit back because he was very matter of factly. And he goes, 160,000 of them a year go unserviced. Why would we want more of them? And I thought, okay, I was thinking on my feet, and my actual thought, I was like, well, I'm going to shoot straight as well. If the German's going to shoot straight, I'm going to do the same thing. And basically, at the dinner, we were talking. I said, okay, that's cool, and you are right. Right now, there's probably no requirement to do that. But I said, look, I own a house. I own two houses, and I also am a ratepayer, and I'm the bulge. People my age are the bulge of the economy at the moment. I was like, I've never. It's going to make more context if I say who it is. It's Jim's group, and I was like, I've never. If I needed a lawnmower, I don't even know what the number is. I didn't grow up with the TV ads and seeing you on TV and stuff like that. I said, I go on Google and I type in lawn mowing company or Facebook or something like that, and I type in mowing company. If I needed someone to fix my fence, I go on Google, I go on Facebook, I go on social media and type in like fencing companies or ask someone if they know someone. I don't even like, I didn't know at the time. I was like, I didn't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't even know what your number is. Why would I call you? Like I have no affinity to the brand. And I sort of asked, so what's the average demographic of the audience you guys deal with a lot? And Jim was like, the older demographic. And I said, case in point. I said, of course they did. They grew up in an era where the internet wasn't as important or didn't exist. And the way they did things is with the phone and stuff. And I said, it won't affect you now. Probably won't affect you in 5 years, 7 years, but it's going to be a death by a thousand cuts situation. As the internet gets more mature and businesses get more mature on it, and there's people like myself running around building businesses that rely on the internet for their inquiries, it's going to be death by a thousand cuts. That 800,000, it might go to 900,000 next year, but it might go to 700, it might go to 600, it might go to 500. Next thing, you're going to be getting 160,000 inquiries a year, and you're going to be like, where did all our inquiries go? It's not. G'day, James. Good to see you, mate. It was good to see you at the DMA. Really, obviously enjoyed your company. My partner in crime at the Crown as well, which was really appreciated. But like I said to him, it's a death by a thousand cuts things. You shouldn't be doing digital marketing to generate more inquiries. You should be doing digital marketing to create a defensive fort around your business. Fundamentally, that is a big thing for you. You got, let's say you've got a Jim's mowing franchise in every suburb, right? Now they have your website, but there's people like myself building whole business entities around one suburb. Next thing you lose a suburb by suburb by suburb. People start losing those leads. Those leads start slowing down. It goes from you having an extra 160,000 leads a year to having just enough to not having enough. And that may not be your problem, Jim. That might be a problem for Jim's group 10 years from now, but it will be a problem. And I don't know whether he took it seriously or not. I was more just creating banter and was being held to task, and I felt like it was a good example of that. And now, on the flip side of that, so that's an example of like evolution and a business evolving with the times. I felt like in one aspect, from that aspect, maybe they've lagged behind a little bit, but in other aspects where Joel involved and Jim's social media presence, they are well ahead of the curve. But it's just a case in point. We speak to a lot of businesses, and it tends to be the businesses with a whole bunch of experience. They get absolutely smashed when other businesses evolve around them. Because, unfortunately, in the 21st century, what worked yesterday is probably not going to work tomorrow. I mean, it will work to a certain extent, but it won't work forever. Gyms with the 1-300 number, they've got one of the single biggest, best assets on in Australia with that 1-300 number. Now, what happens when we all move away from using phones altogether? The technology, the push towards the metaverse and communicating through the internet. What's going to happen at that point? You got a number. I don't know about that, Joel. It was good. Like, I don't mind being held to the fire. I think it's important. I think it's important to be held to task. But I was just like, it's a business like that is going to get absolutely smashed and dragged into a point where they have to make knee-jerk reactions because like you can't control. You can say what worked yesterday will work tomorrow, but no one knows. And if you're not constantly looking at the market and evolving with the market, then you get left behind. Look at Kodak. Kodak had the patent for digital cameras, but they were like, "Oh well, we make so much money from film. We're gonna let this patent expire. We don't want to like not get film. People developing film." Once other people started developing that technology and evolving with the market, because the market decides that, not you. Kodak is irrelevant now, and Kodak just fell into obscurity. Netflix, another good example. Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix. Netflix actually went to Blockbuster and said, "You can buy us, and we can manage the online part of Blockbuster." Blockbuster then went, "We make so much money from video rentals. Why would we want an online part of the business?" Next thing, Blockbuster doesn't even exist anymore. And anyone that grew up in the 90s or grew up earlier than that knew that Blockbuster was it. All because you're doing well now doesn't mean, and it doesn't mean that the market will decide that you're not doing well in the future. Another example is Google itself. Google, Excite, Ask Jeeves. Sorry, Ask Jeeves, asked the company. Actually, Sergey actually went to Ask and said, "Buy us for $1 million, and as long as you change your algorithm to PageRank, we'll be good." Ask said, "No, we're not going to do that because we got all the market share." And then you look at that. Does anyone even remember Ask? So like I think it's something that I'm always considering is evolution, and I'll talk about a few things that we're doing here to continuously evolve because I think it just comes part and parcel with doing search engine optimization specifically. Is the Google evolves so quick and Google changes so quick, you have to evolve. If you're doing things that worked 5 years ago, they do not work now. So you just get a different mindset about like keeping in front of technology, because Google is the cutting edge of it. And as a search engine optimization, you're going to keep in front of that. But like, let's talk about what we're doing from an evolution experiment standpoint. So, we realize that, we need to evolve. Let's walk back a sec. I have a full-blown Facebook ads campaign set up that I've never turned on for the agency. Full funnel, full everything. I was literally going to turn it on, then the iOS 14 update came on, and I said, "Okay, well, I'll just wait. I want to see if I have to change the campaign at all." I haven't turned it on since. I have evolved. I went, "Okay, well, if that's going to be our channel, I can't rely on it anymore because the technology is changing and it's evolving in the macro environment. The market is talking and deciding that Facebook may not be the future that they want to be marketed on." So I've really put a focus at the moment on direct response marketing. I basically evolved. I did courses because it wasn't something I was super, I knew how to do it. I knew how to do it well, but I've been doing courses. And now inside the business, we've been evolving to use robotic process automation to really help and amplify this stuff. Now, where I'm getting at with this is like, if we had been in business for 10 years or 15 years and we had like a prize pig and we were making lots of money, would we be as inclined to evolve? It's a question I ask myself a lot. It's like, yeah, like if I was an agency that had been established for 10 years and I was making good money, would I have the inclination and the drive to actually evolve and look at different things? I probably would have just turned the Facebook ads on because the consequences would have been less to us. So I think that's the whole, that's the holy grail when it comes to business, is a business owner that has a lot of experience, but also runs their business like a startup that constantly evolves and iterates. And that's where experiments comes in. That's the third part of this, is experimentation and willing to take risks. Obviously, the bigger you are and the more ingrained you are in the industry, and you have the more competition you have, the less chance and the less opportunity you have to take experiments and take risk and evolve like that. I understand that. But I was at the digital marketing conference last week, and there was a gentleman got up from Airwallex, the head of growth from Airwallex, and he actually really inspired me. He was that Airwallex business is basically trying to be an online bank. Take payments, process payments, and that is a very competitive industry with very established players. And he was telling me that they evolved within the business, and when he took over head of growth, Sam took over head of growth. They made this switch to a growth mentality, and less about KPIs and metrics, and more about growing and how can we get growth. And interestingly enough, he was saying, I asked him a question. I don't know if anyone watching remembers this. I asked a question about, how did all the paid, because what he was saying is they get the whole team once a week to sit in a room and go, okay, what is one fixed cost thing we can do that will help us grow? And it's a big mind shift to a whole bunch of people that do paid ads that are used to working off a direct return on investment, because a lot of the things they do now don't have a direct return on investment. And I asked him, and I said, what do you feel like, how did the paid media buyers take it? And he said they were kicking and screaming. They did not like it at all, because it's a mindset shift. It's an evolution to think like that. But what he was saying is they've had some experiments that have worked amazingly well, like really, really well. And he was saying that they did an experiment last year that cost the company $1 million. But they're still evolving, and once they hit those sweet spots, they find the competitive advantage, and the business evolves into them. That's what they're saying, like they tried targeting accountants and it failed miserably. So now they're evolved out of that, and they've gone, okay, what's the next step? Where are we going from here? And they were saying they're making a kind of a shift away from paid advertising and moving to direct response. I just found it really interesting. Now, Jimmy said, couldn't agree more. Always need to constantly evolve. I think so too. Like it's easy for us in the tech space and the marketing space to say that, because our space is evolving very, very quickly. But what I think it's more relevant for businesses in the brick and mortar space than it is the tech space, because we have to evolve. Like the technology changes too quick not to be evolving. But if you're an automotive mechanic shop, you only evolve if you really want to. But like, I think it's the mindset. I think it's actually the mindset more than it is absolutely anything else. It's about having the holy grail, the trinity, the experience, the business experience, but also the mindset that I'm willing to evolve and change my thought process, even though I know what works. That's like I think if you can pick a business owner that thinks like that, and you can tell the ones that are successful or not. Joel has said here, I jumped on TikTok before any other franchises. We sold franchises from it. Yeah, 100%. My speculation is, Joel, that if you weren't doing what you do for gyms right now, you would not gyms would not be anywhere near as popular as it is right now. It was an evolution. What you dragged into that business is an evolution from where they were to where they are now. Hopefully it doesn't rescind back. That's my hope. So Mehdi, so correct me if I'm wrong. Being in email marketing, I see a lot of companies starting to shift their focus onto perfecting their email marketing practice. TikTok is also doing so good right now and will be a big trend for brands and businesses this year. Yeah, 100%. This is a very, very good case in point example of this. I was dead against TikTok. And Joel and I have had conversations about this, and I've spoken to Joel. I've spoken to Joel about this and gone like, yeah, TikTok's good, dancing and pointing to things, all sick. You're right. If you're the right business, perfect. But the team here has slowly been chipping away at me and planting the seed that actually it's whether I like it or not, and I preach this to all business. I'm like when I talk to you about Instagram and things like that. Whether you as a business owner like something or not, if your eyeballs are there and if the demographics there and if there's if the you can get eyeballs for a good price, you should be doing it. And I would practice. I didn't practice what I preach. I'd be like, "No, we're not doing TikTok. I don't want to sit there and dance and stuff." And slowly, I've been going. Actually, that's the wrong mindset. I should be evolving to go. I'm not going to throw out TikTok based on what I understand of it and my experiences with it as a business. I'm going to evolve the business to work with that channel. That's what we've now moved to. It's not up yet, but my online guy has a TikTok account. The team in the office has been working real hard to get some content up before we go live, just so it looks a bit lived in. But it's taken. It's same with Instagram. I was never really a big fan of Instagram until I started using it and going, okay, well, I just need to evolve it. I just need to use Instagram as another tool and evolve the business to be able to interact with it because it's not going away, right? So yeah, it's a very, very good example. Okay, so Medi, sorry, the H is silent there. Yeah, it's good to know. And then the email marketing, another great example. I, it's not bragging if it's true, right? But I was having a conversation with a direct response, one of the best direct response marketers arguably in the world. We were having an hour-long conversation the other day, and I showed him some of the stuff I've been working on. He's like, Jimmy, do not show anyone this stuff. This is like no one is doing this. And interestingly enough, that's that's that evolution. Like if you've got the right mindset towards evolving, like put it this way, if this business had been going for 10, 15 years, we'd probably be doing email marketing exactly the same as everyone else. But because we haven't, we've got to find channels that work and we've got to evolve and slot into those niches where we've got some clear blue sky. Yeah, just an interesting observation, like I think I didn't really know what I wanted to get on here and say today. It was more just, a reminder mainly to businesses that, if you don't evolve, you will die. And it's more important now in 2022 than ever to be constantly evolving and constantly challenging the status quo within the business to go, how can we do things better? How can we do things faster? How can we do things more efficiently? How can we get an edge on our competitor? How do we do all that stuff? And you've got to constantly be challenging your team and the leaders in your team to do the same thing. Joel has said 60-second digital marketing tips on TikTok is the go. Some accounts at 500,000. 100%. I literally get the phone and just rant for 60 seconds, and the engagement we get from that is so good right now. So it's about adapting. Because I told the team this with TikTok, I'm not going to get up and dance and point to stuff and do dancing trends. I'm not going to do that. It's not me. But I will provide advice and do what I do here in a shorter form if that works well. And that's what we're sort of doing. Todd Collins, hopefully Haley's watching. If not, we'll go look at him after this. I'm always open to seeing how, TikTok and things, how people are taking advantage of these platforms, because it's new to me, to be quite honest. And there's, adapt or die sort of thing. And then Medi, the 22 into the year of adaptability. On that note, have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks, mate. It is. If you're not adapting in 2022, 2023 is not going to get any easier for you. Interest rates are rising, the business conditions are getting harder, all the stimulus is sort of going off the boil. People are sick. Like everyone's gonna have to evolve, and myself included. And let's end on that. I think it's a good time, to look. Put it this way: I've always done these live streams as a bit of a journal for myself. I've gone back and watched a few from the very start and gone, actually, I'm really glad I kept that information and documented it, because now I can go back in 2 years and see how I've evolved as a business owner over this time. And it's, when I'm having bad days and the business isn't doing well or what have you, it's nice to go back and look and go, actually, I remember when I just started this and I was sitting there going, oh, the business is going to be shut. And then in 2 years, we've grown to 15 people. It's like, oh, 8 people. And then the offshore team. It's like, sometimes it's nice to have that. And I'm hoping in a year, after doing this video and how much motivation I've had in the last couple of weeks to really evolve the business after the DMA and stuff, I'm going to go back in a year and go, look, that was the tipping point for this business. Like, that week, that month, where I was all about evolution, set the business up for the next phase of it. That's what I'm hoping to see. Or I go back and go, look, nothing changed since 2022. Jimmy, you're an idiot. But I think it's been a really good. It's really good to document this stuff. So guys, I'm going to finish up. I've got to go pick up my Falcon. It's in getting serviced. As always, if there's any questions or anything, ping me. If there's a topic you guys want me to talk about next week, I'll also do that. But I'm actually going to I think I'm going to start doing interviews again. I really enjoy interviews. I'm going to go find a few people, interesting people to interview, and we'll shandy those in so it's not just me talking every week. So guys, thanks once again. Have a fantastic weekend. Anyone in WA, enjoy the long weekend, because it's going to be the last one for the while.